Contribute to the #PuckStrong movement for mental health and hockey athletes by watching the video, tweeting the hashtag, and sharing your stories on the website. Let's get things straight to start everything off right off the bat here. I don't think he's coming. I don't think the Vancouver Canucks are getting John Tavares. I don't think it's likely. I don't really think it's realistic. And let's just get into this discussion a little bit, because recently, 2 days ago, I believe, on the Canuck Way, there was an article talking about how the New York Islanders franchise centerman, #1 overall, John Tavares, is supposedly going to meet with the Vancouver Canucks. And for the most part, let's be honest here, hockey Twitter, hockey YouTube, hockey Reddit, the Canucks subreddit, we all started thinking a little bit, oh my goodness, what exactly is it that's going on here? And I think it's kind of obvious. From my point of view, I don't think John Tavares has enough of an incentive to come to Vancouver. And that's all I'm going to be talking about here. We know that they can't actually start talking right now, because that would technically be tampering or whatever. We have to wait a little bit before John Tavares starts being able to talk to teams. But the article that was published talks about how Tavares is planning to go to Vancouver, and this sparked up a lot of talk. Basically, the way it goes, a lot of people are talking about how Vancouver is a good city with a good young core, and they got roster space, they got cap space, they would be willing to give Tavares everything he would ever desire as a pro athlete. We'd max out his contract, give him the captaincy, first-line role, and he's got some good, young, offensive talent to play alongside of him. And that's pretty true. Let's say that that's exactly something that could be a factor in getting Tavares to sign with Vancouver, especially considering the fact that Vancouver is a pretty beautiful city. That's all fine and dandy, and I agree with that. However, is Vancouver really a team that you could see John Tavares coming to? Not on the basis of he can literally sign with any team he wants for any amount of money that he wants, but on the basis of why exactly would he come to Vancouver if he's in a position to choose? Because if Tavares wanted to stay on a team that had a good young core of guys coming into their system, young forwards to play with and everything, if he wanted to play for a team like that, why wouldn't he just stay with the Islanders? Matthew Barzal, Anthony Beauvillier, and then Joshua Hosang, just to name guys that were on the team for forwards. Anders Lee and Josh Bailey still got years left in them, as they're like 28, 27 themselves. Even in their own prospect system, Kiefer Bellows. My goodness, he is amazing. Otto Koivula is also a guy who looks like he will make an impact with the Sound Tigers next season. And even on the defensive side of things, Pulak is like 23, and Robin Salo is looking like he's going to be a really good Finnish defenseman as well. The Islanders have everything that a young player could want, and the Vancouver Canucks are in a position where they probably suffer from the same things that the Islanders do in terms of an on-ice product today: bad defense. The problem is here, Vancouver's offense isn't up to par with the Islanders' offense either. Yes, it is true, the Vancouver Canucks have a good young core, and they're going to be good a few years down the line. They could offer Tavares the captaincy and a lot of cap space, and they do have a good city. But so do a ton of other cities. Seriously. Take a look at this tweet from Spiza Pizza on Twitter. I feel like 9 teams have a legit shot at Johnny T. Carolina, Montreal, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Devils, the Blues, Maple Leafs, Canucks, and Golden Knights. All have the money, can give him first-line minutes, good players for him to play with, and all but St. Louis can give him the captaincy, and all but 2 are appealing cities to live in. It's gonna get interesting. And he brings up a really intriguing argument. The fact that there are so many teams that have money, and good players, and young players, that John Tavares doesn't really have that much restriction when it comes to choosing a team that's young and has space for him and everything. Because there are so many teams that are like that. If anything, Carolina's got a really good set of forwards coming up, and an even better defensive core than the Vancouver Canucks. Why wouldn't he go to the Hurricanes? Personally, I don't think that just having Horvat, Besser, and Pettersson is enough to justify sucking a few more years and then becoming a playoff contender for Johnny T to come here. If I were John Tavares, I'd want to go to whatever team would be winning. And the Vancouver Canucks are not going to be winning next year. And that's really easy to see in my opinion. You might say, oh, Pettersson's coming in. Yeah, Pettersson, really good player, maybe gets 80 points in a season. Okay, that's cool. But remember, the Sedins are gone. The Sedins got like 100 points together. You can't replace both Sedins with one Pettersson and a healthy, full-season Brock Besser, which we're not even guaranteed, by the way. So, the fact that this defensive core hasn't improved at all over the offseason, it doesn't speak values to me saying that we're going to be an even better team that we were last season, next season. There's a reason why we're in a position that Canucks fans are saying, lose for Hughes, 2019, he's getting drafted in Vancouver, let's get the Canucks picking him. There's a reason the tank still exists, and it's because people acknowledge that this team still isn't that good. So, why would John Tavares want to come here? He spent the last however many years of his career has it been sucking with the Islanders. Even in the most recent season, one of the best offensive teams in the league, if not the best. One of the worst defensive teams in the league as well. Out of a playoff spot, a lot of goals against, and it doesn't really look that much better in Vancouver in my eyes. There are plenty of other teams that were mentioned by Pizza Pizza that have better defensive cores and arguably better offensive cores too. So, I don't get it. The fact that Vancouver has a beautiful city space and young players, that's not enough for me to say that Johnny Tavares is going to come here. Oh, but what about the meeting? They talked about the meeting, right? Yes, that makes sense to me. The Vancouver Canucks have cap space. And this was an argument that was posted on the Vancouver Canucks subreddit that is the same argument that I immediately thought of upon hearing the news. John Tavares is going to come to Vancouver, and he's probably going to do it in one of his first trips. He'll assemble a team, come over to Vancouver, the Canucks are going to offer him a lot of money because, you know, we can, and he's going to go to other teams, shopping himself around, using the values that the Vancouver Canucks placed onto him. Hey, Hurricanes, the Canucks said they got me for this amount of money. If you want to even consider a deal, it's got to be that amount of money or more. That's basically how it works. And we've seen it. There are a lot of teams that have cap space. It's not just Vancouver that can offer John Tavares a full contract. And besides, we still have to sign a whole bunch of our other guys first. Baertschi, Virtanen, Nick Dowd. Right? Now, of course, if this whole thing gets put to shreds, and John Tavares does indeed come to Vancouver, he signs a full contract, stays here for the next 7 years, and he helps Brock Besser and Pettersson win the Stanley Cup in Vancouver in 2021, I'll shut up. I'll acknowledge that everything in this video was incorrect, and all of my assumptions were false. But these are my assumptions, and it hasn't happened yet, so I have a freedom to be able to say what it is I believe. And this is what I believe. John Tavares, honestly, he probably was going to stay in New York. I think he's probably going to stay. Lamoriello came in. Lamoriello is a guy that you don't want to mess with, a guy that you don't want to screw around with as a hockey general manager. I'm going to be really interested to see on how this plays out, because it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if John Tavares stayed with the New York Islanders. In my opinion, it's probably going to happen, but of course, we don't know. Because the Islanders, they don't have an arena and they don't have defense. But they got young guys coming up. Robin Salo is young. Pulock is still young as well. Their forward core is going to be amplified with Kiefer Bellows stepping in and guys like Beauvillier, Barzal, Ho-Sang getting more time. Especially Barzal, my goodness. Barzal, totally a player that anybody would want to play with, hands down. John Tavares included. So, is John Tavares coming to Vancouver? I don't think so. I don't think so in the slightest. He's probably going to meet with them, yes, but I don't think he's got any traction or desires into coming to Vancouver in the slightest. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Plus, saying gaming, and bye.